shouldn't be boxing. Good luck to them. They're both going to make what I call a shit ton of money out of it. So isn't that what it's about?
Tyson Fury has not held back after Mike Tyson's fight with Jake Paul, calling out the whole event as a sham. Before the fight, Fury was actually one of the few voices in boxing praising the matchup, even going as far as to say that critics were just jealous.
I think it's a fantastic event. Anyone who don't think it's a fantastic event is jealous. Mainly people who ain't getting paid from it will be jealous, obviously, because it's not them.
He argued that those who weren't involved financially had a bitter attitude toward the event. Fury said, "I think it's a fantastic event. Anyone who doesn't think it's a fantastic event is jealous." He appreciated the value of entertainment and the big money it generated, especially in Texas where the fight took place.
Does a loss to Jake Paul damage your legacy?
I don't look at my life as a legacy. Legacy to me means ego. Who the fuck cares about my legacy? I'm gonna be dead soon one day, but he's not gonna win.
What do you say about...
But his thoughts changed drastically after the fight. Fury came out swinging with harsh criticism, claiming that Mike Tyson, his childhood hero, had sold out for a quick payday. According to Fury, the fight with Jake Paul was so painful to watch that it felt like Tyson was just a shadow of his former self. Fury even laughed, calling out Mike Tyson for ruining his legacy for a reported $20 million. "You idiot!" Fury reportedly said, mocking the legendary boxer for putting on what he called a fake fight just for the money.
Is he choosing to do it well? He's doing it for one reason and one reason only, and that is the money. He's getting paid so much money to do this. So that tells me he's getting bought. So again, it is sad that someone like Mike Tyson can get bought.
Fury didn't stop there. He talked about how watching Mike Tyson trying to fight at his age was sad and embarrassing. He pointed out that Mike seemed to be biting his gloves at times during the fight, almost as if he was holding back from unleashing his old self on Jake Paul. He was biting his gloves, probably to tame his demons and not destroy the man in front of him, Fury explained. To him, this was a clear sign that Tyson wasn't even trying to win, but rather just trying to survive the rounds, or perhaps stick to the script. Fury was clearly disappointed, adding that it was tough to see someone he admired for so long degrade his reputation like that.
You know, he's sensational and he's hot, but fighting a guy with 10 fights, and I just think I can handle this situation.
You gonna knock him out?
I think I'm gonna hurt him, yeah.
When asked if he thought the fight was scripted, Fury didn't hold back his skepticism. "I don't know, man, but whether scripted or not, that's not how Mike Tyson fights. Even age wouldn't make him fight like that." According to Fury, something about the whole event just seemed off. He pointed out how Mike's punches lacked their usual power, and how he wasn't moving like the Tyson everyone knew from his prime. And sure, even though Mike is 58 years old, he clearly didn't seem to try. And we can say this confidently since we've seen how he trained in the clips he was posting. Mike's known for his aggressive style, but that night, it was like he was just going through the motions, Fury continued. He believes that the whole thing was more of a spectacle than an actual fight, designed to grab headlines and rake in cash. However, just like everyone else, Fury made it clear that he still respected the man behind the gloves. He even expressed that he was still proud to be named after Mike Tyson, but couldn't hide his disappointment over what he witnessed in the ring. Fury was adamant that this wasn't the way a legend should be remembered. He emphasized that the fight did more harm than good to Tyson's already complex legacy. The guy was a beast, a legend, and now he's selling out for a YouTuber fight? It's hard to watch, Fury concluded.
Family's everything, but my kids, to my children, I'm nobody. But that night they're gonna find out their father's very special.
However, it seems like Mike Tyson had a counter aimed at Fury, and everyone who thinks he lost his legacy. This whole situation took a twist after Mike Tyson himself came out and addressed the backlash. Tyson's response to all the criticism was surprising.
And what would you lose if you lose this fight? Thank you.
I'm not gonna lose.
But you say that in the last minute of the second.
I am not gonna lose. Did you hear what I said?
Thank you.
In a viral interview with 14-year-old journalist Jazzy, Tyson confessed that he doesn't care about legacy. When asked what kind of legacy he wanted to leave behind, Tyson shocked everyone by saying, "I don't believe in the word a legacy. It's just another word for ego." These comments were unexpected, especially coming from someone who has left such a lasting mark on the boxing world. Tyson's blunt take on life and death caught many off guard. Legacy doesn't mean nothing. It means absolutely nothing to me. We're nothing. We're just dust, he said, dismissing the idea that his fight with Jake Paul would affect how he's remembered. It seemed like Tyson was more focused on living in the present than worrying about how history would judge him.
Ego, that's just some word everybody grabbed onto. Now it's used every 5 seconds. It means absolutely nothing to me. I'm just passing through. I'm gonna die, and it's gonna be over. Who cares about legacy after that? What a big ego, so I'm gonna die. I want people to think that I'm this, I'm great. No, we're nothing. We're just dead.
But like everyone else, Fury has been one to not buy this. He believes that Tyson's disregard for his legacy was just a way to cover up for his poor performance. Fury argued that if Tyson truly didn't care about his reputation, he wouldn't have stepped into the ring in the first place. According to Fury, the whole thing was about cashing in on his name one last time. Fury even joked that Tyson sold out for $20 million and that it was the worst $20 million he'd ever seen anyone earn. Fans were divided after Fury's comments, with some agreeing that the fight was a money grab and others defending Tyson for stepping into the ring at all. The debate over whether the fight was scripted or not continued to rage on social media, with many feeling cheated by the lack of action in the ring. Fury's critique of Mike Tyson wasn't just about the fight, it was a broader statement on how he believes the sport is changing. Fury warned that boxing was losing its authenticity, and events like this were turning it into more of a circus than a sport. Boxing is about heart, skill, and fighting spirit, not gimmicks, Fury said, to make this whole thing even more interesting. A talk about a script for Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson exploded online before the fight even began. People claimed a leaked document was floating around, showing exactly how the fight would end. Fans couldn't stop talking about it, wondering if this fight was even real or just a show. The chaos started building way before the bell rang, with moments that made the whole thing feel like a stage drama.
Alright, like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Seems like the Jake Paul vs. Mike Tyson fight script has been leaked. Like, comment, subscribe, more content.
The final press conference was wild, and then right after this script came out, the final press conference became more heated. Mike Tyson slapped Jake Paul during their face-off, and people debated if Tyson was genuinely angry or just playing his role. Jake Paul had just delivered a fiery speech saying Tyson must die. It was the kind of over-the-top moment you'd expect in a movie, and it only made the script rumors seem more believable.
I didn't even feel it. He's angry. He's an angry little elf. Mike Tyson, I thought that was a cute slap, buddy, but tomorrow you're getting knocked the fuck out. I'm f***ing him up, Burial. I'm f***ing him up. He hits like a bitch. It's personal now. It's personal now. He must die.
Then came the weigh-ins. As the fighters stepped off the scale, the so-called script popped up online. According to the document, Jake Paul was supposed to win in the 5th round. Around the same time, screenshots started circulating that appeared to show Google leaking the result. This version said Paul would win by unanimous decision after 10 rounds. From all the corners, it seemed that it's Jake Paul that was expected to win this fight. And when the fight finally started, it didn't take long for people to start questioning what they were seeing. Tyson, known for his incredible power and speed in his prime, didn't seem like himself.
A little bit yesterday at the weigh-in when Mike Tyson slapped.
Ooh, there was a lot of energy.
Oh yeah,
a lot of energy there.
There's gonna be a lot to talk about.
And Jake, I think Jake said, "I'm not scared."
His punches were slower, and he wasn't aiming for the kinds of spots that could end the fight early. It felt like he was pulling back, holding himself in check. For a man who once tore through opponents like a hurricane, this version of Tyson looked strangely cautious. Jake Paul, meanwhile, fought like someone who knew exactly what was coming. He landed clean shots and stayed out of danger, but he never seemed worried about Tyson's power. The way the fight unfolded was almost too perfect. Tyson would throw big punches that didn't quite connect, giving Paul room to counter and look good doing it. Fans watching couldn't help but think back to that script. Everything was lining up just the way it described. Well, almost.
Looks like you ended up having to stick around for the main event, even if you didn't want to. You're still here. You didn't watch any of it.
No, I watched a couple of rounds. I don't want to, Chris. I think one thing I'll say is I think Nikita and Jake.
Tyson was wearing 14-ounce gloves, which are heavier than what's usually used in fights like this. Fans pointed out that the extra padding made his punches less dangerous. It was a strange choice for a fighter like Tyson, whose knockouts came from devastating power. Some fans believed the gloves were part of the script, a way to make sure Jake Paul didn't get seriously hurt. Others argued it was just another way to level the playing field for the much younger Paul. By the middle rounds, the fight felt like it was following a story. Tyson had moments where he looked like the old Iron Mike, cutting off the ring and landing solid shots. But then he'd back off, almost as if he remembered he wasn't supposed to go all out. Paul, on the other hand, fought smart and calculated, doing enough to stay ahead but never taking any big risks.
And an Olympic gold medalist, and a special fighter, one of the great light heavyweights of all time. You know what Mike Tyson was? He was a meteor. He was a meteor that struck across, and not too many meteors, and we still talk about him.
It was a back and forth that felt more like a performance than a real battle. The script had predicted a 5th round finish, but the fight went the distance. Paul won by unanimous decision after 8 rounds, just like most of the leaks had said. Fans watching were split. Some believed the fight was exactly what it seemed, a younger, fitter Paul beating an older Tyson who couldn't keep up, but others weren't convinced. The way Tyson fought, his restraint, his lack of aggression, looked too much like he was playing a role. Social media has since exploded with opinions. One fan wrote, "Tyson was holding back the whole fight. You could see it. He wasn't throwing with full power, and those gloves made it impossible for him to knock Jake out." Another said, "There's no way this wasn't scripted. Everything about it felt planned, from the face-off to the final bell." Some even pointed to Tyson's slap at the press conference, saying it was just another part of the show to sell the fight.
But damn, them 2 minutes is real short, and Tyson, even though he hasn't fought in a very long time, the training that he's done, if his conditioning is up to par, he will be fine because he's only doing 2-minute rounds. I'm scared for Jake the first 3 rounds.
Then there were the fans who believed Tyson tried to break away from the script. They argued that the slap was a sign of his frustration, that he wanted to fight for real, but couldn't because of whatever deal had been made. "Tyson doesn't care about a script," one fan wrote. "He's just too old to do what he used to do, and they gave him those big gloves to make sure he didn't hurt Jake." Even after the fight, the theories kept coming. People broke down every moment, every punch, trying to figure out what was real and what wasn't. They pointed to how cleanly Paul's punches landed, how Tyson's attacks seemed to miss by just enough to keep the fight going.
Hoping that he'll do that. It's a task. You know, it's hard to box at when you're that old, moving around the ring, throwing punches, getting punches thrown at you.
Some even said Tyson's smile at the end was proof he was in on it, that he knew this was all just entertainment. For Jake Paul, the win added another name to his record, but it didn't silence his critics. Many still see him as more of a showman than a real fighter, someone who carefully picks his opponents to keep his streak alive. For Mike Tyson, the fight was a strange chapter in a legendary career. Fans who grew up watching him dominate couldn't shake the feeling that they were seeing a watered-down version of their hero, whether by age, choice, or script.
What do you say about your legacy if you end up beating Mike Tyson, and not just beating Mike Tyson, knocking Mike Tyson out?
Obviously, it would be the biggest moment in all of boxing history.
However, whether scripted or not, it seems Jake doesn't care about it at all. In fact, he is now exchanging words with Beterbiev on social media. Yes, you heard it right. Jake Paul stirred the boxing world once again, not just with his unanimous decision victory over 58-year-old Mike Tyson, but with the aftermath that followed. The fight itself drew mixed reactions. Some fans stayed glued to their seats, fascinated by the spectacle of Paul standing across the ring from a boxing legend. Others left early, clearly unimpressed by what they had witnessed. But the drama didn't end in the ring. Paul's post-fight comments, call-outs, and a surprising challenge from Artur Beterbiev made sure his name stayed in the headlines.
First and foremost, Mike Tyson, it's such an honor. Let's give it up for Mike, bro. He's a legend. He's the greatest to ever do it.
The fight against Tyson was Paul's latest chapter in his unpredictable boxing journey. Standing across from a man nearly twice his age, the outcome didn't surprise many. Tyson, once the most feared heavyweight in history, simply couldn't match Paul's youth, speed, or endurance. For 8 rounds, Paul controlled the action, using sharp jabs and calculated movements to stay ahead on the scorecards. Despite the win, not everyone was impressed. "I'm sorry I didn't knock him out," Paul admitted after the fight. "After I saw him getting tired, I didn't want to hurt him too much. I wanted to give the fans a good experience." This statement sparked mixed reactions. Some praised Paul for showing respect to a legend. Others saw it as an excuse, especially given Tyson's obvious limitations at 58 years old.
Can we give it up one time for Jake Paul?
Let's go! Thank you. I'm sorry I didn't knock him out though, guys.
Shut the fuck up.
Paul's explanation didn't stop there. This fight was different, he said. I felt a lot less nervous than usual. Fighting in a stadium feels less personal and loud, so it's not as nerve-wracking as arenas. He claimed he took his time in the first round, studying Tyson's speed and rhythm. Once I got his timing, it was history. I just outboxed him and had fun.
I'm not getting my bit off on Friday night, so I got my diamond spiked ear covers right there.
All right. Yet the fun wasn't enough for some fans. Critics were quick to point out that Paul's biggest challenge to date, his 2023 fight against Tommy Fury, ended in a loss. That blemish remains the only one on Paul's professional record, now 11-1. His detractors argue that Paul continues to fight older or less experienced opponents, steering clear of true competition in his weight class. The backlash didn't faze Paul, who wasted no time setting his sights on bigger targets. After the fight, he mentioned one name that turned heads, Canelo Alvarez. He's going to want a payday, and I want to prove to the world that what I've been saying is true. Beating Canelo would be the biggest upset in boxing history, Paul declared confidently. We'll fight to see who's really the face of boxing. After this event, I'm claiming it.
Never watch boxing, or they don't know anything about boxing. They wanna watch Jake Paul because he's coming from he bring fans from other world, right? Yeah. That's good because everybody enjoy it.
Would you ever entertain that idea when you're done?
Maybe.
As bold as that statement was, it wasn't the only call-out making. The morning after the fight, Artur Beterbiev, the undisputed light heavyweight champion, posted a message aimed directly at Paul. Jake Paul, what can you do in the ring against the current undisputed champion? Beterbiev wrote on Instagram, just know that I'm always open to suggestions. Beterbiev's challenge shocked fans and added a new layer to Paul's post-fight talk. At 39, the Russian-born fighter is in his prime, holding a flawless 21-0 record with victories over some of the best in the sport, including Dmitry Bivol. His reputation as one of boxing's most dangerous fighters stands in stark contrast to Paul's carefully curated career. Paul couldn't resist responding. Just seen this top 5 pound-for-pound fighter in the world calling me out, haha. 4 years in, and I run this sport, he wrote on social media. Fans were quick to react and most weren't on Paul's side. You don't run the sport, everyone's sick of you fighting senior citizens, one commenter wrote, referencing Paul's habit of facing older opponents. The one time you fought someone near your age, you lost. Another chimed in, be careful with actual boxers, maybe stick to gimmick fights. The skepticism wasn't new for Paul. Throughout his boxing journey, critics have questioned the legitimacy of his matches and opponents. Still, Paul has consistently drawn attention and sparked debate, whether fighting retired MMA stars or stepping into the ring with a 58-year-old Tyson. For better or worse, he knows how to stay in the spotlight.
People who are out there saying, we think Mike's too old for this fight. Tell them what you think about that.
If you think I'm too old for this fight, you need to come tell me in my face.
Whoa.
Paul's victory over Tyson wasn't the slugfest fans might have hoped for, but it accomplished something else. It kept him relevant. His quick response to Beterbiev's call-out showed his knack for stirring the pot. Whether he's serious about facing a fighter of Beterbiev's caliber or just adding fuel to the fire, Paul knows how to play the game. Meanwhile, the reaction to Beterbiev's challenge continued to divide fans. Some saw it as a legitimate offer, a chance for Paul to finally prove himself against an elite boxer. Others dismissed it as nothing more than trash talk, pointing out the vast difference in skill and experience between the two fighters.
A lot of people think it's funny, like, you're gonna fight Canelo, like you're saying you're gonna beat Canelo, like you're out of your mind, you lost to Tommy Fury in a split decision. First of all, that's the person who doesn't accomplish anything or doesn't understand failure, doesn't understand getting better every single day. I've been doing this for 3.5 years, have beaten people that other boxers wouldn't be able to beat.
One fan summed up the skepticism perfectly. You'll wait till Beterbiev is 45 and then nobody will care. The comment reflected the growing frustration among boxing purists who believe Paul's career has been built more on spectacle than substance. Still, Paul remains undeterred. His post-fight comments about Tyson, his call-out of Canelo, and his response to Beterbiev all point to the same thing. He's determined to keep pushing his narrative, whether that means taking on true competition or continuing his current path of high-profile, low-risk matchups remains to be seen. Well, what do you think of the moves Jake Paul is making? Share your thoughts below and don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel for more updates. See you in the next one.